about the whole nationwide strike, TUC and NLC, and your take on it. I would ask you, over the years we've seen this nationwide strike, the TUC, or just put it together, the Congress, the Labour Congress together, come and make demands to the government and saying this is what we want and this is for the good of Nigerians. But oftentimes we see that they don't put into consideration some of the consequences of this action. I just want to get your thoughts on it generally.
Well, thank you very much for the opportunity of this discussion, and I say a very good afternoon to our listeners back home. I don't have problem with people agitating for their rights, but where your right stops, another person's own rights will begin. And my worry is often the approach to labor strike. For a government that is dictatorial, that is military in nature, labor can make strike as a viable option. But under a democracy where you have conversational leadership, where you have leaders that engage labor in dialogue, where there is constructive engagement, where there is collective bargaining, strike should not be an option. Because the whole essence of the strike of yesterday and today ended on the round table. And the government has not stopped meeting labor before now. Then why go on strike? Because the consequences of going on strike is very, very, in fact, you can't even quantify it. Let me put it that way. Because you just see people go on strike yesterday, you put up the national grid. For me, that's treasonable felony. Turning the entire country to complete blackout. Do you know how many children or persons and all that are on ICU in different hospitals? Those that cannot even afford generators that are run on NEPA. Do you know people who are going to do surgery yesterday that couldn't do that surgery, or who were cutting up, pants down at the point of surgery and the light went off and there was nothing like that? Do you know how many people died yesterday as a consequence of some of these facilities not working? When you get your salary increase, are you going to recall those who died as a result of that? Are you going to recall them? You are not going to recall them. So you need to put into focus what the consequences of your action will be, because it's our country. And we're talking labor. Labor alone does not own the country. Labor is 1.2 million federal workers across the country. We have Nigerians at 200 and something million. But oftentimes, whatever goes with labor affects all of us in a way which should not be. When they do minimum wage now, you see tomatoes will rise in the market, you see onions will go up and all of that, and you and me will not benefit from what labor is benefiting. So, I'm a private sector, I have a very slim employee. You cannot say because you want to help the employee, you want to kill the employer. It's not possible. If you kill the employer, who will then take care of the employees?
Okay, let me take you back. You mentioned the fact that we're running a system where you have conversations with the government.
Yes.
I remember that there was a tripartite committee set up for all of this.
It's still on.
And it's still on, and they are supposed to always review after every 5 years. Would you say that we have gotten to the point where the government would want to wait till we get to the dead of the hour before they take action? Because I'm sure that if they had conversations prior to now, or they have met the bargains or met the plea or cries of the Labour Congress, we wouldn't have had a nationwide strike yesterday and had total blackout.
You see, Labour should not constitute themselves into another government. I hate that arrogance, that ego of thinking that, because you are a Labour leader, you just call for strike and you grind the country. The consequences are too obvious. If government is dilly-dallying, not meeting up, you exercise a little bit patience. They definitely will meet you. They definitely will engage with you. They definitely will discuss with you. They definitely will negotiate with you. They have been doing that. We have been seeing it. We have been seeing press conferences. We have been seeing that. It's not about muzzle flexing. It's about our country. We are saying that what we lost yesterday, you are looking for increment. And we are saying that Nigeria is in dire straits, right? Then we lost so much yesterday for not working.
So is it wrong, totally wrong, for what they are actually agitating for? Are you saying it is totally
You
wrong?
the approach is wrong. So you are asking for salary increase. We say the government is saying that there's a limit to which they can carry themselves. Fine. Okay, they can even go further. We need money, don't we? Okay, now if you need money to cater for the agitation of labor, by the time you crumble the economy of the country for 24 hours or for 72 hours or for 48 hours, who gains? The government loses, the people loses. Because for not working yesterday, you can't quantify how much we have lost in terms of revenue. People who are managing our tax, tax agency and all of that. You went there, you forced them to close work and all that. You went to banks, you forced them to close shop. There are people who have needs, who are not captured in the civil servant, federal worker, bracket. There are people. You must factor in, those categories of people. You can agitate, but please, under a democracy, let your agitation be within the principles of dialogue, conversation. You cannot overemphasize the usefulness of dialogue in labor issues. The strike is a last option, particularly under military rule, when it's a dictatorship and they don't want to listen to what you are saying. But this government is been listening. You'll be holding tripartite committee meetings. You'll be doing that, but they just wake up one morning and they will just say, oh, they are not talking to us. It's 60,000. The labor that complained about 60,000 is the same labor that commended Obaseki, governor of Edo, for paying 70,000. What is the difference between 70 and 60? If you say, okay, you don't want 60, you say it's 70, you want to go into. Since you have commended Obaseki for 70,000, what is wrong in that? Must you go on strike? Must you cripple the system? Do you know how many people died yesterday in hospitals and all of that? For this power that you have taken, up to now, there is no power. Do you know the cost in terms of wastage that this power outage has cost people? Because by the time you put off light, I'm sure even this place will be running on generator. You know how all that is. You go and buy diesel to run your plant. Who are you going to ask to add value to your own patronage if you are not getting it? So you need to factor in so many things in the interest of the country. People die from hospital. People are traveling to make ends meet. Private sector people they have flights to catch. You shut down the airport. You shut down the grid. See, some of these actions I think are over-bloated on the side of Labour. I think it's crass responsibility. That's the truth. There's hardship in the land, no doubt. All of us are feeling the pains, but you don't multiply our hardship. You don't kill the employer because you want to help the employees.
And you don't think the government is multiplying now our plight as a country? Or do you think that they're doing so well so far, so good?
The government?
Yes.
The government can do better, but labor issue is just an item on the table. For God's sake, I've just told you that labor is just 1.2 million people in Nigeria, and we have over 200 million for the government to cater for, whether you like it or not. And the moment the people who don't even have income to expect, they are in several millions. But you have income to expect at the end of the month. And by the time you even probe into all these other civil servants and what have you and all that, they are part of the problem of the country. When you talk about corruption, it is in the ministry to see them. Go there and see. When you talk of laziness, that is where you see. For me, if I'm the president, I will carry out a complete overhaul, complete reform of the system. As I speak to you now, I've just discussed with one of my friends. We are starting an association of unemployed Nigerians. We want to open a portal where we'll be registering unemployed Nigerians. Each time people go on strike, they don't want to work, we plug it in. We tell the government to please plug in from this place. Because there are people who want to work. You don't run down your country because you say you want certain benefits. No problem. You are just doing activism for the sake of activism because you are enjoying it. No, Labour cannot constitute itself to be another government. We voted for the democratic government that we're having, and we also have the confidence and the leadership to do the right things. But when you are in Labour and you want to do those things, don't be too selfish with your request. I don't have problem you agitating, you holding meetings. But when you crumble the country, when you shut down everything, the multiplier effect is better imagined than real. And so for me,
yes.
I'm a realist. I keep telling people that you cannot tell me that only labor are the employees of the country. The private sector is there. They are even the highest employer of labor, the private sector. So what happens when you shut down their business and all that? Where do they ask for repayment or whatever you have destroyed or whatever you have broken down as a result of your strike? So we must be realistic. We must see the country as our own. We must also take precautionary steps so that we don't even create a state of anarchy. We keep complaining every time about economy is bad, but you are compounding the problem by not working, by shutting down everything, electricity down, this one down, that one down, hospital down, banks down. You can't quantify how much loss you have encountered yesterday and today. Now I heard that they just put off the strike for 5 days and all that.
And after, if their demands are not met, they continue.
Well, because they've not seen counter action. That's why my National Association of Unemployed Nigerians will be a counterbalance. I'm going to make sure that I register this quickly and start to mass Nigeria, because there are a lot of thousands and millions of people out there who are unemployed and who are actually looking for these jobs for which labor are toying with our collective destiny.
So Labour is agitating that the minimum wage be about 494.
That's stupid.
And then the government, I also say we can only give you 60,000 naira and above. And a lot of people have come with the counter argument that we've seen the government actually put out exorbitant prices for things. For example, 19 million for Hajj, 50 billion for student loan, and what people would tag as things that are not really necessary. Why would it be hard for the government to be able to pay 494,000 naira to Nigerian workers? Because we see that with Gabon.
Labor workers, please don't compare Nigeria with our West Africa sub-region. It's very ridiculous when I hear those arguments.
Yes.
You see, Nigeria, you need to visit these places. Some of them I have visited. Sierra Leone, Gabon, Liberia, Ghana, and all of that. You don't compare them with us by whatever standard. We are the big brother of Africa. People may not believe it, but when you are in this country and you travel to those countries, you see the difference in terms of comparison. But again, we are not all labor. We are not all federal employees. I've just told you that there are 1.2 million Nigerians. And so their desire cannot approximate the collective desire of 200 million other people. You get the point? So when labor is agitated, you should also consider that there are people who don't even work at all, that are more than 1.2 million people who are not working at all, who when day breaks, they don't even know where to go and fetch food. They don't even know where they will get even 2 naira to buy akara. There are so many people in that category. So what I expect labor to do is to weigh the options and balance and do a counterbalance. You are asking for 494,000 minimum wage, but you are clapping hands for Obaseki. What manner of hypocrisy is that, or double standard? Are you being real? Are you being patriotic? Are you telling me that if 70,000 is okay for Obaseki, why not just tell government we can take 70,000 since Edo has already started paying 70,000? You can just say that. Why do you clap for somebody somewhere for 70,000 naira and you are asking government for 494? Where is the money coming from? And government is telling you that there is no resources. You are saying that there are resources and you are going on strike, killing the resources further down. Because when there are no economic activities, government cannot earn money.
We'll talk about the economic effect.
Then when you talk about 90 billion Hajj, whatever and all that, people who are captured under the Hajj a majority of them are not federal employees. So it's about segmenting your population and know how to cater for the interests of different categories of this thing. If in fact there's even a reduction for 90 billion. Before now, Hajj takes over 200 and something billion.
This is a step down.
Yeah, this is a step downwards, and it's a gradual process before you win people out of that practice. And you must commend the president that he has reduced it abysmally downwards to 90 billion. Before now, go and check the figures. So gradually we need to talk to our Muslim brothers and Christian brothers and sisters that some of these things we can't sustain it any longer. So that gradually we'll get off the hook of religious tourism and what have you. And other. But there are people who share a lot of sentiments about this. So you need to balance the sentiments and the algorithms of religious identification of affinity. So for me, the student loan is a welcome development. Since it has become part and parcel of our body politic, whether you vote 1 naira today, tomorrow somebody else can vote 2 naira, next to another person can vote 10 billion. From there, you continue to go to 100 billion, 200 billion. The idea is what we should look at. The money they are giving them now, 50 billion, may not necessarily be the strongest motivation in terms of the rich. But it's a greater process. Let's take off. Let us see our problem. Let us see how we can, juggle up some of these things and create the right nexus that will push us forward as a nation. If we don't do it at all, it's the problem. Now when somebody is doing it, you commend the person, and give him a pat on the back and see, let us see how functional it will be. People will enjoy taking loan. I know how many people I pay school fees for. Just little as 50,000 naira, as little as 70,000 naira, and all that. They keep calling every day, some send testimony, some I don't even know them at all. Oh, we have finished our exam, we want to collect our results, but we are owing school fees. How much? 40,000 naira. And some others, 30,000 naira and all that. So I do all of that. And it's like that. But so when you now have a body that can give loan to students and you can pursue that to logical conclusion, then you commend the government and you encourage the government to continue in that line. You don't say because government is paying 90 billion for for the hygiene or whatever, and because you are a federal employee, you want to say, who are the people who are corrupt in ministries? Are they not the same labor people?
I was going to bring your attention because you mentioned the approach of the Labour Congress. You said you go to the table and you dialogue. So at instances where dialogue doesn't function, where you've spoken and your cries have not been heard, what other action is the Labour Congress supposed to take when they've spoken over and over again? It seems like they still go around.
Abigail.
Yes.
You see, this Israel-Gaza war, genocidal war, is going to end on the round table. That's how bad it is. Wars, the Vietnamese war, all the ones you had, it ended on the round table. So what I'm saying is that this Russia-Ukraine war is still going to end on the round table. So you can avoid war, you can avoid destruction, you can avoid if you just apply a little patience, you apply wisdom, you apply logic, and sit down around the table to address the issues. It is not that the government has not been listening to them. After all, if they've gotten 100% increase from 30,000 to 60,000, that's 100% increase. It may not have abated all the problems confronting us as a country or mitigate the hardship that has been part and parcel of our body politic in the last 2-3 years. But we are saying that it's a step in the right direction. If I were in the shoes of labor, I would grab the 60,000 minimum wage first. I would say, okay, we are taking this, but can't you just push it to 70, 80 so that we work around that figure? Then for now, I will look at the performance of the economy in the next 1 year and see how it goes. Then we will be coming back to ask for more like Oliver Twist. We must ask for more, sir. But not for you to ground the country. I will think you are helping us. The person who died yesterday as a function of no electricity, who was in ICU and all that, are you going to recall the life of such a person? Are you going to bring him or her back to life? So you need to understand that where your right stops, another person's right begins from there. You may be agitating for this minimum wage and all that. Some civil servants died yesterday, whether you like it or not. So who benefits? So what you should do is to please, for the sake of our country, engage in dialogue, engage in conversation, discuss these issues. Strike under a democracy should be a thing of the past. These are vestiges of military dictatorship. When you go on strike, you do this, you do that. And so please, it's better for us to know how to manage some of these issues so that it's all for our country. There is hardship in the land. All of us are not civil servants. People are pursuing their legitimate interests every day, and because you are on strike, you stop them. It compounds the problem. You understand what I'm saying? I'm not saying you should not fight for your rights. You shouldn't agitate for income. But when you have a government that's engaging you in dialogue, please explore that opportunity.
So I wanted to actually, before we finally open the phone lines for people to give in their opinion, I remember when they fought for 30,000 naira, and not even every state could also pay their workers 30,000 naira, and now they're agitating for 60,000 naira. What does this mean for our economy? What would this mean for example, states that are not heavy on generating revenue for themselves? Would they be able to sustain this 60,000 naira? What would this mean for the government to start paying 60,000 naira to as minimum wage? And is it sustainable? Is it something that can be sustained in the long run?
You see, 2 years ago, I made the point very clear that it's about time for us to practice our true fiscal federalism so that states can tap into their comparative advantage to do things that suit their local peculiarities. A federal worker living in Damaturu in Yobe State, warehouse rent may be as low as 10,000 per month or 15,000 per month. It's not the same as a federal worker living in Lagos, where house rent will be going maybe 80, 90, 100,000 per year.
Yeah.
So now you give them a pro rata minimum wage consideration. I think the government should go a step beyond that. You see, you have to find a way of ensuring that we truly practice our federalism if we are actually a federation. A federal worker is a federal worker, but if you are working in Damaturu or Yobe, you are working in Duse, in Jigawa State, Sokoto, Kebbi, and all these places, you pay wages that suits the local peculiarity there. That is why you see some states unable to pay the 30,000 minimum wage in those states. But again, it's not that they will not be able to pay it. Governors are also not helping matters. The money they collect for security votes oftentimes is mind-boggling. Like in my state, per month they collect about 1 billion naira minimum wage. I say 1 billion naira security votes per month. And so at the end of the day, you are getting almost like you are 10 billion in a year for security votes, for security that are not attended to, security issues that are not attended to. So if they are sincere, they can actually pay 30,000 if they cut costs on some of these areas. But again, who manages the fund in the states is the same civil servants.
So you're saying that it is from that corner of our government that we're having the issue with the civil service.
Of course, the civil servants are part of our problems. You see, you go to the ministries, go and visit any of the toilets. You see how dirty and unkept they are. But at the end of the day, there's somebody there who is supposed to be cleaning that toilet. They tell you there's no water, there's no this, there's no that. When month ends, they collect salaries. Apart from the director's toilet and maybe the DJ that is caught under lock and key and all that, every other one that is left open is dirty. But there's somebody who is collecting salary as a result of keeping that place dirty. He's supposed to keep it clean, but he's keeping it dirty and he collects salary. So you need serious reforms, civil service reforms. You need to step on toes. We need to get Nigeria working.
And how do we do that?
A lot of things. It's part of it the government is trying to do. Don't you see the noise? Don't you see the cries everywhere? You see, if things are bad, you want to fix them, you need to step on toes. They say you need to break the egg for you to make omelette for people to eat. So my position is that we need serious attitudinal reorientation. Even the way we engage with government, the way we see government as not my business. You see during strike, you see doctors go to their private practice. They put in more hours into their private practice than the public hospitals they work in. Once they hear strike, like before it starts, you see them in their private clinics and all of that. And they leave people in the public hospitals to die. And some other people who are doing different kind of business, bakery business and all of that, civil servants. Go to this town and elsewhere, you see civil servants are the owners of shopping malls, are the owners of church properties and everywhere. And they will still be the ones that will shout the loudest, this thing cannot take us home and all that. Corruption is in the system, you need to win the corruption. So 494,000 for me is ambitious.
It's a little too ambitious.
It's too high. It's not realistic. So we need to face the issues. Start from the little, the known to the unknown.
Even with the crazy inflation that we're going through.
See, it will compound inflation. When you say 494, it will compound inflation. Bearing in mind that only 1.2 million people are going to be earning that kind of money. That is in terms of the population of civil servants in the country. Because the moment they hear that there is an increment, even the minimum wage of 60,000, the market will go to increase tomatoes, maggi, onions, and plantain, and all of that. It's going to increase immediately. Forgetting that you and I are not necessarily federal workers. We are not civil servants. We struggle on our own to make our ends meet. So these are the disincentives in the system. So we need to be realistic so that we do things that are sustainable. If we can flavor things that strike, you are killing an economy that is already in dire straits. You are further killing it, and you are looking for salary increment. Well, God bless Nigeria.
Definitely, God bless Nigeria. You can be a part of the conversation. 0911-222-1055. I take it again. 0911-222-1055. The strike has been called off, but definitely they will be meeting every day for the next 1 week to be able to see if they can meet at an agreement. I'll take the number again, 0911-222-1055. One more time, 0911-222-1055. That is the number to call to be a part of the show this afternoon. And before I let you go, Prince Kasim, I would ask you this question, because all of this agitation has to do to the fact that the cost of living is becoming really high. People's take homes cannot take them home. As I said earlier, inflation is skyrocketing day by day, even though our economy is not one that is new to inflation. How then, because I know that the Tinubu-led administration, one of the major key things that they stood on was coming up with good economic policies to be able to get us out of the situation, blaming the fact that the past administration didn't do so well when it comes to our economy. How then can we come out of this situation without having to bruise anyone, and also be able to make sure that Nigerians are comfortable in their own country?
Nigerians cannot be comfortable in their country, please.
They can.
All over the world, human needs are insatiable. That's why Maslow came up with the hierarchy of needs.
Yes.
One more important than the other. And that is why in economics they say opportunity cost. You forgo one for the other. So, what we should join hands to do is to encourage government not to be economic saboteurs of government good intentions. When you say our economy is bad and you are further making it worse, do you want me to clap for you? I won't clap for you. Because the moment you go on strike, you cripple every economic activity, productivity stops and all of that. Do you know people who are producing in factories and all of that who are using electricity? When you shut them out yesterday, they have not produced between yesterday and today. Do you know that there are some plants, facilities that are used for production? If you shut them down for 1 day, it will take you like 2 months for you to fix it back. There are so many consequences. But it's very easy for you to switch off, to just press the button down, and the country goes on darkness. You celebrate, you beat your chest. But you don't also know that you are crippling the economy for which you are asking for salary to be increased. So, Nigerians will continue to grow at its own pace, but we need to change our attitude as Nigerians. I tell people every day, you get to the traffic light, you see the red light telling you to stop. A lot of people are beating that traffic light. Are they government? Are they is it the president? They are you and I. When we are coming on the road and we encounter just simple traffic gridlock, the road is made up of 3 lanes, they will turn it to 6 lanes. Do you need government to tell you that you should maintain your lane so that we can all go? We are always in a hurry. We don't love ourselves. The other man wants to get to his destination at your own expense. But you blame government for everything. In the process of trying to wriggle yourself out, forming 6 lanes out of 3 lanes, there will be a total gridlock. Nobody moves, nobody goes, nobody comes. Then we are just sitting down there in our vehicle. Some vehicles will develop what do you call them now? Overheating. And they open the bonnet. And before you say Jack Robinson, you see the whole place become another traffic jam harakiri. So, we need orientation. Citizen participation in government must be enhanced. And citizens must also carry out their obligation to ensure that they also buy into government policies and programs. Because the quality of the civil service we have today cannot deliver or implement government policies. You need a civil service that is up and doing, that is digitalized. People who can tap into the internet, use computers and all of that to do a lot of things. All this area of carrying papers, carrying papers or hiding files or pushing files, it shouldn't be in an ideal situation. There should be less concentration of energy and time on file pushing and all of that. So that in a way, we can also minimize the corruption in the civil service. But we need reforms in that sector, no doubt about that. You can agitate for your increment, but please don't obstruct other people who want to work, who wants to also make a living because they are not civil servants. Also advise them that they should please respect traffic light at every point in time. Because the number of accidents recorded at night in Abuja, they are quite high. And so I pray he doesn't become a victim any day. As much as somebody advised that every driver must not claim all his traffic rights, the same way that every man or woman must not claim all their matrimonial rights in the home. You must know when to apply brake and ensure that you remain safe so that you can live to tell the story the following day. Of course, I am quite aware of, I took cognizance of the fact that you were attacked by hoodlums. You can't be attacked by hoodlums every other day. It's one of those, societal mishap that we contend with every day. Particularly in Abuja, it's becoming so worrisome. Please remain safe, respect the traffic lights, and when those people bring silence, when they get into trouble, they know how to manipulate the system. That takes me to the question asked by the last caller, whether there are laws.
There are laws, yeah.
There are laws in Nigeria, but the observance of the law is often in the breach. Because our laws here have status. It's supposed to be a level playing ground for all of us when law is involved. The court is the final arbiter, but when you are a big man in this part of the world, they abuse law, they trample upon law, and when you try to even insist, on due process and all of that, you might end up even being the culprit. So that's why you see so many things are wrong, and that is why the National Orientation Agency is trying to come up with a program called the value system, where they are trying to play back our minds into things that we used to do in those days and bring the country in sync with the global expectation, as it were. Part of what we need to do is advocacy for rule of law and insistence on rule of law. I remember late former President Yaradua. Yes. One of his anchor was rule of law. And if you get court judgment during Yaradua, before you start going to another court to ask for stay of execution, they will implement that particular court judgment. He stopped the issue of stay of execution that was generously misused during that period. So the NOA is coming up with that program, and once they start, they will be able to re-inject some values, core values, into our body politic, so that people can begin to see that yes, there are laws, and this law should not be a respecter of anybody, no matter your status. But as it is today, they say all fingers are not equal. That is how our laws are. Because they will tell you, big man, they talk, poor man saying get idea. So that's the problem we're facing in this country, and that's why I said it's all about attitudinal reorientation. We need to talk to ourselves. We need to change our psyche, how we do things, how we see things. We also need to change our orientation even towards government. I don't care attitude should stop. Like in the civil service, you go to civil service, you see people selling bombs, donut, granite, all this. These are people who are supposed to be working and implementing policies of government. And the even cleaners, they will do that, leaving the toilets as dirty as you can imagine. And so there are so many things to be done. That's why I said we need a complete overhaul, reforms, which I'll pray that President Tinubu is able to start and follow it to a logical conclusion. I'm aware that the Oronsai report is being tinkered with in terms of see how we can implement those workable suggestions and recommendations.
Yeah.
I think we should take a step further to ensure that once that is implemented, we should also ensure that we reform the civil service to meet up with expectations.
Thank you so much for being a part of the show. So now that the strike is off, what then should we do? Do we go back to the drawing table, or do we just applaud the government for taking action, or applaud the Labour Congress for agitating for the rights of civil servants?
Abigail, it's our country. We just need to know where to apply the necessary brakes and where to also push for better living. If the society is good for all of us, it will be Uhuru. If we are able to create platforms where we can interrogate issues for a better living for Nigerians, so be it. There's like the man who called out that his phone went off. He said, "I'm a politician, I should get out of there." Politicians are the ones who are also calling the shots now. That is the mistake they're making. When you don't allow the good people to come into politics and you see it as a dirty game, then the bad people will be the one ruling you. So you need people who are credible, who are result-oriented, who are utility-driven, to come into the game of politics, contest for positions, and also translate their credibility to impact on the society. So when you have this kind of disdainful attitude towards politicians, and yet when the election comes tomorrow, you see them contest for governor, senate, lawmakers, and what have you, you keep complaining. Why would you complain? Because you have chosen to stay off it. So the man ought to be educated, ought to be conscientized, ought to be mobilized, to see a different reason from his mindset. That's a mindset response we were trying to give just now. And that is what is killing this country. Political parties that are playing very important role of recruiting those who will represent you are being left in the hands of people who may not even have the wherewithal in terms of intellect and content to even drive the process. So when you have this disdainful attitude, the politician get out of there. What makes me a politician? Why would I get out of there when I am involved in how I'm being governed? I have a say, and I need to be listened to. I need to be heard. The same way I will listen to other person making sense or nonsense, I will have to absorb the one I will absorb, and the one you don't want, you let it be. That's why we're a human society. But you cannot stop conversation under a democracy. You cannot stop dialogue. Everything that revolves around society starts from the table. The dialogue on the table, the conversation, the constructive engagement, the negotiation, and all of that. You bring in all your mediatory skills, to bear in the course of interrogating issues. And so for us, for Nigerians, please let us just know that this is our country. People keep telling this country, but when you travel out, you are hungry to come back home. Like me, I want to remain here because I'm a first class citizen here. I'm not. Nobody will ask me where are you coming from. Over there, you are careful of where you go. Can you even beat the traffic light over there? The law will catch up with you. So this is the kind of orientation we need to continue to give ourselves so that we can make society a better place.
Well, thank you so much, Prince Kasim Afegbua, for coming on the show this afternoon. It was lovely having you.
It's a pleasure.